Some perspective now. We're joined by Alex Hamerstone, a cybersecurity advisor at TrustedSec, an IT security consulting firm, joining us via Skype. So, Alex, let's just talk a little bit more about what exactly happened. The hackers reportedly penetrated the point of sale system. Maybe you can explain what exactly took place.
Absolutely. So obviously we're going on these third-party reports, so we don't have all the details. But what it appears is that they were able to somehow, get into the systems there and plant malware on the actual point-of-sale systems, which is a bit different than the usual attacks that we oftentimes see where they go after the databases or some other methodologies.
And so this is Jameson was talking about this hacker group calling itself Joker Stash, and I had read that they had also targeted Whole Foods, Chipotle, Trump hotels in recent years. I mean, what is the goal of these groups at the end of the day?
So oftentimes, in the past we used to see a lot of hackers that would kind of do it just for the thrill of it. But more and more these days we're seeing organized gangs or organized groups that are really just looking to make a profit. It can be a very lucrative business, a very lucrative thing to do. And that, if you think of all the things that you can do, as far as criminal activity, it's much easier to be a hacker or, to be able to break into these systems and take credit card numbers or take money than it is to, be in a lot of other criminal enterprises. It's much easier, it's much lower overhead, et cetera.
And so then you get access to the information, and then you go and you try to sell it on the dark web. I mean, I feel like sometimes it's what's for sale there that alerts people that this breach might have even transpired in the first place.
That's correct, and the dark web kind of becomes a little bit cliched at times as the marketplace for stolen goods or things like this. But we are constantly, as an organization, we constantly monitor the dark web, and we monitor these sites to see if there is data out there, if there is data from people, whether it's credit card data or other personal data, so that we can alert organizations and make sure that people are able to be vigilant and kind of keep an eye on their credit reports and that kind of thing.
So I would imagine the company's trying to get all the answers that they need. It was a little unclear on ultimately how many Canadian customers, for example, at these stores, what those figures might ultimately look like. But we do know, at least in Canada, that there are Saks locations, and I had seen some indication that customers who were shopping at some of those locations in Canada might be affected. Why is it so difficult to get these absolute numbers?
So a couple things. One is you would have to go to the credit card numbers or the credit card companies with the account numbers and have them correlate that to the locations. Now, sometimes when you see packages of stolen data sold on the dark web, sometimes it's just the credit card numbers and the names. Other times it has a lot more information. You'll see them packaged in certain ways. So there might be, you could buy a package of, numbers from a more affluent area or more affluent zip code, et cetera. But with these, it really depends on what information they're selling. So if they're selling the credit card number along with the address information, that would make it fairly simple to see who was affected. But if it's just the credit card numbers and the names, it requires going in and doing some research with the credit card companies or the issuers and figuring out where these customers are, where these account numbers are associated with, and then putting that together. So it really just depends on what information we have available to us to be able to go in and make that correlation.
So for anyone who's watching, listening, maybe they shop at a Saks, maybe they're Hudson's Bay shoppers, but they have some card from one of the other locations that's owned by HBC. I take it that calling your bank or canceling the credit card would be an option to you. Is that what you would advise people to do?
So that is an option. Unfortunately, it seems that these breaches are happening, more and more. You're seeing them every day. Oftentimes after a breach, they'll offer credit monitoring, but I think everyone already has credit monitoring from, one breach or another. When it's really important to look at your credit card agreement, but generally, if there's fraud on your card, you're not going to be responsible. So if these cards are found, in these on the dark web or these types of things, your credit card company will oftentimes cancel it for you or reissue a new card. The best thing you can really do, though, is make sure that, credit card companies have a lot of options for you. So, for example, for me, anytime my card is used, I get an alert. So just really keeping an idea on where your tabs on where your card is being used, what it's doing, and if there are charges on it, so you can immediately notify the credit card company if anything is fraudulent.
Now, we were talking earlier about the fact that this particular retailer, Hudson's Bay, is going through a big transformation. They have a new CEO. They're obviously trying to build up a digital business that can do battle with Amazon. I just wonder what the impact of these kinds of events can be, because, you know, you think about the Equifax example, or any of these high-profile setbacks that these companies experience. How significant do you think this could be for the business, just depending on the information as it plays out over the next few days or next couple of weeks?
So it really depends, and you know, it's kind of depressing in our industry, but really these breaches are so common that people kind of expect them. So that we've seen, you know, retailers that have been breached that have been able to, you know, get their business back because they're selling a product people want at a price they want. If they're in if there are multiple competitors and there are other places to go, this can obviously damage your brand. It can be very expensive, you know, from fines and other costs. But really, I think that, you know, it's a challenge, but people are going to shop where they can get the best prices on the products they want. So if they're offering that, then oftentimes, you know, these breaches will have less of an effect on the business. So it may be other systemic issues that are causing them problems. But more and more these days, it really seems like these breaches are just what people expect.
Yeah, we're hearing it a lot for sure. Alex, great to get your insight. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Alex Hamerstone is a cybersecurity advisor at TrustedSec, an IT security consulting firm, joining us via Skype from Cleveland.